Alright, in this next video we're going to be doing some more advanced functionality, namely some box triggers, which are invisible boxes which allow us to do pretty much anything we want. So in this video we're going to just do the basics of activating something within our blueprint via a box trigger. So let's start off with any static mesh. Let's start with this little corner frame, whatever this is. Let's drag it into the level, and let's just go here and convert that into a blueprint. So our first blueprint that we're making, and let's just call this pickupable_item. And let's just store it with our other blueprints. Let's go to third person BP, blueprints, create blueprint. Perfect. And so now in our content browser here, in our blueprints folder, we can see our blueprint freshly created. So let's add a component here, much like we did with our spotlight, and let's add a box collision. If we scroll down here to collisions, you can see we've got capsule, sphere, and box. But we're going to start with the box. And let's just make this big enough so that if our character was to stand on it, it's going to be close enough. It might be a bit too large. Let's scale that back. And let's just see what that looks like. Perfect. For debug purposes, let's actually make sure we can see this box in game, because right now if we start our level, it doesn't show that box because it's obviously invisible. So let's just go to our box here and uncheck hidden in game. While we're at it, let's rename that to our box collision. Compile and save. And now we can see our collision nicely. So what shall we do once we get to the box? Let's just say this is a pick-upable item that allows us to use our flashlight. So let's say this is our flashlight. So what we're going to do is, first of all, select our box collision and go to our event graph. And if we right click, we'll see at the top here, above this line, is actions we can do for this box collision specifically. Because if we unselect that and right click, we can see there's nothing there. It says select component to see available events and functions. So let's select that again, right click, and if we go to add event for box collision, and add this begin overlap. So this is basically once something starts overlapping this box collision, what do we want it to do? Now we want to make sure that it's our player, it's not just the ground. So what we're going to do is go to a cast to third person character. And this is basically calling to our third person character blueprint, but what we want to make sure is that the other actor is our third person character. And what we want to do then is adjust a variable for our third person character. So let's go into here and make a new variable on the left here. And let's call this has a flashlight. Compile and save. So this is a Boolean variable, which means it's the only data it holds is either yes or no, or true and false. So to start with, we do not have a flashlight, so it's going to be unchecked. So what we want to start off by doing is making some logic here. Let's just drag this out. So when we press F, we first want to check with a branch, and we want to check, do we have a flashlight? So if we control drag that out, and if it's true, then we want to do our set visibility on and off. If it's false, we don't want it to do anything. So right now, if we go to play and press F, nothing's happening because we don't have a flashlight. What we're going to do is go back to our pickupable item, and once the character overlaps with the object, we want to, as a third person character, set has a flashlight to true. And then connect that up. Compile and save. And one more thing, after we pick it up, we want this item to obviously disappear because it's sort of like it's in our pocket now. So let's just go to a destroy actor and leave that at self. If we wanted to, we could make it so that it destroys the actual third person character, but we don't want that. So let's just compile and save that. Cool, let's see if that works. We can see the object is now gone, and if we press F, we can now use our flashlight. So we just made a basic pickup, and with not too much work, we could do the exact same thing for our sprint if we wanted. So what we could do is, let's duplicate this blueprint, and let's rename this first one to our item underscore flashlight. And let's rename this next one to item underscore speed boost. Cool, let's double click our speed boost. And on the left here, let's adjust this static mesh to something else. So let's go something else we've got here. This little cube. Sure. We can see our box collision is too small now. If we just select it, and let's just make that bigger. Okay, that should do. Let's drag that in. That is quite large. So let's just go to our static mesh and adjust its scale on the right tab here. Let's go to maybe 0.4. That's about the same size. Cool. And what we're going to do for our speed boost is set a new variable we're yet to create. So let's go to our third person character and go to can sprint, which should be false by default. So once again, we need to do a check here. When we press left shift, we need to first check, can we sprint? And if we can, then we want to set it to our speed. But if it releases and it sets it to 600, it's already 600 anyway, so we don't need to bother doing another branch there. Cool. It should be as simple as, let's go to our speed boost, and let's delete this. And as third person character, we want to set, what did we call it? Can sprint to true, and then destroy actor self. Let's compile and save. So now we should be able to not sprint, not use our flashlight, but now if we first pick this up, we can use our flashlight, and now if we pick this up, we can now sprint. Perfect. Alright, let's add one more thing to this, just for an added layer of complexity. Let's just go to add component, text render, and let's on the right here set the alignment to center and type in flashlight, put that above it, and let's just copy that and paste it into our other blueprint and write speed boots. Perfect. Now that we're done testing the box collision, we can just hide it in game once again. So let's do that to them both. Let's hide that in game, compile and save, and let's hit play. So now we've got our flashlight and our speed boost, speed boots, sorry, that's confusing. I called it speed boost and the text says speed boots. Let's just scale that up a bit more. That's looking good. While we're at it, let's just maybe move that here and turn it towards the character. Perfect. So let's get our speed boots, we can now sprint, and let's get our flashlight. Awesome. So we've got the basics of picking up items, interacting with other objects, talking between blueprints, adjusting variables, creating variables. You've already got a pretty good basic toolkit to be making a pretty fun experience. With this you could already be making, some sort of horror game. We can use these basic assets to make some dark hallways, and you could make a trigger to toggle the visibility of a door or something like that, or it could play a sound, something as simple as, when you step on this, you want to play sound at location, things like that. So already you've got such a good understanding. I'd recommend you to use this knowledge to just play around in Unreal, see what you can make with this.